is Carina from Break Fear, Find Freedom. And I just want to take you through a bit of a scenario right now, because we're living through in a world with so much conflict and war and pain and suffering. And we just move through it without even thinking about it, right? As adults, we just move through it, and a lot of times there's conflict within ourselves. But what about a 5-year-old boy? What about a 5-year-old boy that's thrown into this kind of conflict with war and machine guns and bad people? How does a 5-year-old boy relate to that, and how does he even live through it, and how does it change him? As a 5-year-old boy, imagine a small boy like looking up at these so-called adults that are supposed to know the way. Well, sit back, relax, because we've got a beautiful guest today, George Kakridas. Sorry, George. George Kakridas, who has a beautiful story to tell you. Well, a lot of conflict, a lot of fun, and some twists and turns as well. So sit back, relax, grab your coffee. It's Murphy. So we've got our beautiful guest today, George Kakridas. And let's take it from there. Put on your headset, grab your coffee, listen to the story, because it's a good one. Hello, George. How are you today?
Hello, Carina. How are you? I'm very well. I'm a little nervous about being on your podcast, but I'm very well.
Okay, breathe. It's all good. It's all part of the fun. You're doing really well. George, tell us a bit about who George is now, like maybe in a few sentences or so, but tell us what happened to you when you were 5, and then we'll talk a bit from there.
Yes, I was 5 years old, and we were playing soccer in a platea, in a village square. When all of a sudden we heard rumbles of trucks, military trucks, and we turned over and we saw several trucks coming down towards the platea. And we all got scared, and we had no idea who these people were. Somebody said, I think they're Greek soldiers. And then the old lady turned around and says, no, they're not Greek soldiers. They're Germans.
Whoa.
So before we knew that, they opened the doors and they jumped out of the trucks. And with the machine guns, they came towards us and asked us, the first thing they opened up their mouths in broken Greek. They asked us, "Where are your fathers? We're looking for our fathers." We were terrified. We were told to say we don't know, and that's exactly what we said. We don't know. Then a lot of the kids got scared and started running away. And all of a sudden, I heard "alt, alt" 3 times. And then firing, machine gun fire. So we all got scared. We had no idea what was going on. We looked around and I saw my friend that was playing soccer he panicked and ran away, and they shot him. And he fell face down.
Wow.
So we all panicked. We ran down to pick him up, and we saw he was dead. The blood was coming out of his head and his body. All the women were crying and wailing, how they do in Greece. We picked them up and we took them out to a nearby house. And that was a big trauma for me. The first time I saw somebody getting shot down, and especially my friend. And that started the long pain of been occupied by the Germans for 4 years, actually.
Whoa. Wow.
It was tragic for me,
yeah. So, like, that just going back to seeing your just that intense fear. I mean, like, how did you even, especially as a 5-year-old, you don't know anything.
You do not know anything. You're afraid of it. You heard loud machine guns firing, and that scares anybody to death.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that was a traumatic scene that we'll never forget. And that's why I wanted to write my story the day I came to America. But it took me many years to find the time and the money to do it.
Yes,
I
yes,
can talk about that later.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll talk about that. I just want to talk about a bit about how you were. I mean, again, it's Break Fear, Find Freedom. So I'm going to just dig a bit about the fear and the unknown. And I mean, what did you do after that? And how did that make you grow up so quickly from a 5-year-old to whatever at that moment?
After that, we ran away with my friend Taki. And but we didn't go too far away. We actually stopped at a house up the street, and this lady invited us into the house because we saw us running, a couple of kids, and with her boy that was there, watching the Germans how they were setting up their equipment at the platea, like the cannons and all that stuff. And the lady actually made us Greek soup, which was the famous avolemo soup. We ate, and we were still watching the Germans hanging up the swastika flag up on the church that covered half of the church. That's how big the flag was to us, anyway. And we watched them pushing the cannons up the street, and they actually were moving them up to the different places in the village for such strategic reasons. And then we ran home because my mother was looking for me. I had no idea where I was. And my mother was crying when I got there. She hugged me, and I told her what happened. And that ended that day. The next day, the German commander actually sent troops out to the homes to tell us that everybody has to be at the platea the next day at 10 o'clock. There was a meeting. So we got scared. We had no idea because they might kill us all. But we got there. Of course, my mother, my father was out in the caves hiding.
Yeah, yeah.
So me and my mother and my sister went to the platea, and they told us from now on they are in charge of the village, and whatever they say we better obey. Otherwise, we'll be shot. And if we kill one of their soldiers, they will kill 50 of us, including women and children. So that put a lot of fear on ourselves that we had to obey. We had no choice.
Wow. Wow. And it's interesting that, just as a side note, that we didn't realize what an impact that the Germans had on Greece. I mean, I didn't even realize that they had actually invaded Greece because it wasn't really much.
Yes. I found that out myself. A lot of my readers told me that they never thought that Greece had suffered by the Germans.
So an interesting thing here now, of course, now that we've got this picture of all these Germans, they in control. So now you're all together as a village, right?
Yes.
And what's happening now? Are people like helping each other, supporting each other, like coming together as a community? Or are do they become like afraid of each other because they don't know who's going to lie, who's going to go to the Germans and say they did something wrong? Or what was the feeling like at that time?
All of that. Yeah, we actually had traitors that actually sided with the Germans, and they would turn in somebody that said something or did something. But let me tell you another story that happened the day after the meeting at the platea. Me and my mother and my sister were in the kitchen cooking something, and all of a sudden we heard the knocks on the door. And my mother told us to sit down and don't. I'll open the door. So she got up to open the door, and before she opened it, they kicked the door in,
Sure.
which fell onto my mother on the floor. And this two German soldiers with the rifles ready to shoot stepped on, and they kept asking us, "Where are the men? Where's your father?" So my mother was under the door now, right? We were worrying about she was probably dead. These guys were looking for my father, for men and guns. They want to make sure they get all the guns out of the house, out of the hands of the villagers. So we told them we don't know, and they run into the house. They ransack the house. Me and my sister tried to lift the door and see how my mother is doing down there. She was out. We thought she was dead.
Sure.
And we tried to revive her, and finally she opened her eyes, and she had cuts in her face, and we finally took her up and put her on the bed, one of the rooms there, and she was still out. She didn't know what was going on. The Germans finally ransacked the house, and they came back to us and they told us, next time we'll come in, if you don't tell us where the guns and the men, will shoot you. And they left. And as we're leaving, I saw them carrying a bag of stuff. We had no idea what they took. They actually took stuff from the house. My mother had, I'm not sure, silver stuff, silverware, and silver, not gold stuff. But anyway, they left with a sack in the shoulders and left.
Wow.
So that was another shock to me, my mother, and my sister. My mother finally, we got her back, so it was okay.
Okay, well, that was good. That was good. Wow. So how, like, this 5-year-old, that is like, wow, how do you even cope? This is like huge for an adult to deal with it. What is going through your head right now as this 5-year-old boy seeing what is happening right now?
We were scared to death. Obviously, my mother was helping us and trying to, tell us that we're going to be all right. They're not going to kill us, but we were still afraid. I was crying. And my sister was older, and she took it a little better. But it was fear every day. We had no idea whether we were going to survive or not. I mean, we heard people getting shot and executed at the Platea. They used to call people to go to the Platea, and they would shoot them,
Wow.
5 or 10 at a time. So we had no idea when a turn will come. So you live with that fear. I don't know how you can help getting rid of that fear. It's there.
How did that impact your life later on?
Excuse me?
How did that impact your life later on? Like,
well, first of all, after the Germans were defeated and left the village and the country, we thought, we're celebrating. We thought, we're back free again.
Yes, of course.
We had no idea that we're going to go into another war. And this was a civil war, was the Greek Civil War. Right after the Germans left, we got into another war.
Wow.
The guerrillas actually, with the resistance of the Nazis, they turned around to fight the country, to fight the Greek government, because they were tied in with the communist countries on the north of our border, like Bulgaria, Albania, and Serbia. They were in the Eastern Bloc.
Yes.
And they were helping the guerrillas to turn Greece into a communist country. And they almost did it. After 4 or 5 years, uh, the America saw that they were losing another democratic country. And at the time was Truman was the president,
Mm-hmm.
and Truman actually helped us defeat the communists, and that's how the country became free again. 9 years later.
Whoa.
At that time, I was about 18 years old, and America had opened up a program to help people that suffered under the Civil War, and they had a sponsor in America that will be able to come to America,
Mm.
and that's how I was able to immigrate to this country in 1956,
Wow.
and that was the best time of my life. And the day I came to America, I wanted to write my story, but I had no time and no money. It took me 50 years later, after I retired, to start writing my first book.
Wow. Wow. I love that story. I love it as well, George, that you kept that passion alive, because a lot of people say, you know what, I want to write a book. And then it's like, well, they forget about it. Life comes and they
Right.
don't do it.
Right.
So I commend you for that, for writing the story, because it's such a, even though it was the Second World War, it's so relevant to what's happening all the time, especially
Yes.
now today with all the
Yes.
conflict and everything that's happening. So
As-
sorry, so you were saying?
Especially coming from a boy that lived through that
Yes.
life. At a conference in Las Vegas a couple of months ago, I was selling my book in this conference, and people will come in and look at the picture of my book, and they will say,
Okay. Show us on the other side so we can see the picture. There you go.
yeah,
Yes.
this is my book.
Now we can see the picture. Yes.
Right, right.
Thank you.
And they were asking me, who is the author for this book? I says, I'm the guy on this picture. I was 80 years old and the author. And they were amazed to hear that.
Yes, yes, I love it. Like I said, I commend you for that. And that's a beautiful picture. You haven't changed much, George. You know that.
You really?
Yes, you can see the face. You still got the same beautiful eyes and the same. Yes, definitely.
You know, people tell me that the eyes are still there.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
and the lips and everything. You can see it's you.
It's amazing.
It's just that obviously it's different times, and now you're happy, you're smiling. I mean, you can't compare to what you were like.
Of course not. We know what time does to us.
Yes, yes, and it also depends how you choose to live it, right?
Absolutely. And I'm 87 years old. If people want to know how old I am, I feel good. And I'm writing my third book. I'm starting to write my third book. So I feel good.
I love it. And okay, and I have to say as well, George, you definitely don't look 87.
People tell me, and they're right. I feel good. I don't feel that age. I know people that age, and they don't look that good. So, so I enjoy that.
Yes. Well, age is just a number. It's all about attitude and what you believe anyway.
Period. Katie and I have been married for 57 years.
Wow, congratulations. It's so cool.
And we're working on to make the 60th anniversary. So I think we're going to do it.
Yes, good. So tell us a bit about how you met her. Did you meet her in Greece during all this time? Did you meet her in America? Tell us a bit about how you met her.
That is a love story that is actually written in my first book, How I Met Katie. Basically, when I got out of the service, first of all, let me go back a little further. I came to America and I worked hard, and I decided to go to college here in Boston.
Nice.
Before I graduated, I was drafted in the Army. I was panicked. I was very disappointed that they had to draft me because I worked so hard. I paid my own way to do college, and I wanted to get a job and pay my bills. I was drafted. And I decided to go in the Air Force. So I volunteered in the Air Force. I served my duty. I traveled a lot when I went overseas. I was stationed in the UK for a year or two. I was in a outfit, a reconnaissance outfit. At the time, we were flying into the Iron Curtain those days.
Oh, wow. Yes, yes.
Gathering information. I was able to go to Greece every month from there, so I could see my parents and my brothers and sisters. So that was a great duty. I love that. When I finally got out of the service, I stayed in Chicago because I was stationed near Chicago during my service, and I liked the area. And I had some friends and relatives there, more than I had in Boston. I had no, family in Boston either. I came by myself to my uncle. My uncle actually sponsored me.
Oh, okay. Yes, yes.
So I stayed in Chicago, and one summer I decided to come to Boston to see my friends on vacation. And I met my best friend, and happened to be Katie's cousin those days. And he actually asked me to stay in his house, and I did. The next day he says to me, I got to go somewhere. I said, well, you come with me, and I have to stop by my cousin for something. I said, no problem. I said, I have nothing else to do. So we stopped by at his cousin's house. That happens to be Katie's house. He opens the door, and there stands a beautiful black eye, beautiful smile girl. I says, bingo. I says, so we both actually fell in love right there.
I love it.
It was sight of first sight of love first sight. I went back to Chicago and we start writing with each other. And I tell my friends, I learned how to write books by writing letters to my wife.
That is so cool. I love that.
My wife still has the letters, by the way.
Wow.
6 months later, after I went back to Chicago, I came back to Boston, and we got engaged that fast. And 6 months later, after that, I came back and got married, and I stayed in Boston. I told my mother-in-law I want to take Katie to Chicago, and she told me, over my dead body, you will do that. So I got the message, and I said, okay, I give up. So 57 years later, we're still together and still love each other.
Oh, I love it. That's such a beautiful story. And I just love the way things work. You know, when you're supposed to meet together, it just happens so naturally. It's
the
beautiful.
first miracle happened when I came to America. I mean, and the second miracle was when I met Katie. And everything after that fell in place. You know, we went to business together. We raised a family of 2 children. And then we retired and went to Florida. And that's when I started writing my book. And we're still together. We just had our 57th anniversary.
I just love it. As I said, congratulations. That is so beautiful. And 57 years and you're still in love like it was the first day. That is beautiful.
I can say that, and to anybody, and my wife knows that. And we both love each other. And and the reason for people to stay together that long is because people ask me, how do you do it? And there's only 2 reasons. First of all, is to love each other and respect each other. Have a respect for each other. Those 2 reasons is a life of marriage, a long life of marriage. That's my opinion.
And to keep it exciting, right? Because, someone would say like, whoa, 57 years with the same person. Didn't you ever get bored?
I would say, hell no.
So that's the third reason, right? Just keep it fresh and keep it exciting and have those adventures.
Yes. And Katie has actually been helpful more with my first book, and she's in my first book. Can I get a picture of my first to show you?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
This is my first book, the front cover. That's our church. And this is the back cover, and there's Katie.
Oh, wow. Look how cool.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Obviously, we'll have links to the books in the description box underneath. So you can get the books from Amazon, right?
Yes, absolutely. So this book, actually, I changed the title a little bit. A boy growing up under the Nazi boot and the Greek Civil War. So I added both together for this book.
Yes.
And most of the book is about my life in Greece. I came to, I only describe my life in America very briefly.
Yes.
So all the stories on the second edition is my life in Greece.
That's very nice. Now, I'm going to ask you this. This is just a question. Yeah. Like, did your experience in Greece under the Nazis, right? How did it impact your life once you got to America?
Well, it was hard to forget that life, but eventually I put it aside because I want to start a new life, and I focused on learning English, obviously, and then succeed in my life because I saw so many opportunities in this country, and this is the only country I can say that I was able to achieve so much because the opportunities are here. We all know that.
Yes.
And I hope it stays that way. I kept thinking about that life, especially when I wrote the second book. I went back and lived that life.
Yes.
Every minute, because I had to think back what happened every day. So I had a great life in this country. Actually, I say I lived the American dream because I wanted a business myself. I traveled the world as a business guy, and before I went to business, I was a field service engineer for a company that traveled all over Europe and some Asian countries. And then when I went on my own, I did the same thing over again. So I've seen the world. And one thing I can say, I did not find anything out there that I didn't have here. So my heart is this country.
Yes. So this became your new country, of course. So I just also, did you find that, because I know, like, I've written the book, and for me, it was such a healing process. Did you find that writing those books actually was like, oh, I've put it down on paper now, I can just forgive myself, forgive whatever, and heal myself and move on? I mean, you don't forget, but I'm just...
Absolutely, you're right. Absolutely, I did that. Matter of fact, when I wrote my book, I was happy to be able to put it on paper so other people can see it, can read it.
Yes.
Otherwise, nobody would know what happened to me. So I was very happy about that. I think I felt better. I still feel better that I put it on paper, my life story.
Yes, and that's beautiful as well. And I'm sure you got a whole lot of insights as well as you were writing. Now, what I just like, considering how you were brought, what you experienced. I mean, you were really small. How does that change the way you would give advice to children, like young children today? I mean, because they'd probably say, well, you know what, life is different here. But how can what you experience impact and help children of today?
Yeah,
I know.
Can I display this? Probably not. Um, I have given book presentations in a couple of high school history classes, and I was surprised to see this. These kids were actually soaked it in, and they loved the story. They love my story. Each one of those students wrote me a review, and I have it. I have it
Wow.
in 2 pages. I usually send it out to people. How effective my story was to them to learn that they are privileged in living in this country
Yes, yes,
and what
yes.
I went through. And they asked me questions. Did the Germans kill children? I says, well, if they had to, they did. They killed women. Sometimes they did. I mean, they wanted to know what happened. How about the the communist guerrillas? Yes, they killed Greeks too. Greeks killed Greeks during the Civil War. That was even worse war than. So the children they have to read history, and I think my book will show them that uh, you have to fight to survive.
Mm.
Every human has the ability to survive and live better, and and you never have to give up. You have to keep working at that, and that's what I did, and I feel proud of myself.
Yes, thank you. And as you were saying that, I was thinking about what was it like to see, because I'm sure, especially in the Civil War, where you had probably brothers against brothers, because you had people that were your friends were suddenly on different sides. How did that impact you when suddenly you were faced with your friend who might have been on the different side, and then what do you do? Do you walk away, risking that he'd shoot you, or what did you do? How did you cope with that kind of
Well,
conflict?
the guerrillas actually were fighting the Greek army. They really were not trying to kill kids or families
Oh,
unless they happened to be in their way. I have witnessed battles that rage near my village between Ardates and the government troops,
wow.
and I've seen scenes that no children should ever have to see.
Yeah, yeah.
Headless bodies, all kinds of stuff that I cannot talk about it right now. The children should not live or be able to see and remember those things, but I did.
Mm, mm, mm. And I'm sure you lived through those nightmares as well.
Yes. Now my wife, I was helping me editing the book and reading all that stuff, and she kept saying, "How did you remember that? How did you cope with this?" And she was amazed. So now she knows how I was grown up as a child.
Yes, yes.
And also my children had no idea, where I came from and how I lived. So they also reading my book and say, "Oh wow, gee, we didn't know that."
Do people look at you differently because of that?
I think so. I think favorably to see that went through all that and survived, and I made something out of myself in this country
Yes,
and my own
yes.
business. Um, I serve my country, um, and I raise a family. So they're proud of me.
Yes, yes, and that raising a family is already. I think people don't realize how important that is to the community, but also it takes so much. It's not just raise. It's not just like, oh, you know what, I'm having children and that's it. There's so much to it, and it's a project on its own.
Well, raising a family, we all know, is a battle. It's like a real battle. Um, And the sad story is raising these kids, and you see them taking the wrong road when they grow up. That
Yeah.
is the sad things. I think we all have that. Every family has that.
Yes.
And you find yourself nothing you can do about it.
Mm.
My children were lucky that they didn't get into the drugs or all that kind of stuff. So I was happy about that. But I see other people's kids and my neighbors or my friends have taken the
Yes.
wrong roads,
Yes.
drugs,
Yes.
and other stuff.
Yes.
So
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to ask you. Okay, we'll come back into that. So, tell me a bit, George. Like you're lucky. It shows you a lot as well. For me, you have a cohesive family. When you know there's a saying in Russian that says the fish rots at the head. I mean, I know that's horrible, but considering that you're such a close knit family and you love your wife, it stands to reason that your children modeled that, and they came off and they're living good lives, right? How do you feel about if you see your friends whose children have taken the wrong route? What do you do? Do you? How do you feel about that?
you can't say anything to them. You feel good about yourself because your kids are not them, and but nothing you can do about it. But I feel good when I see that because my kids are well off, good jobs. My son is down in Austin, Texas. My daughter is close to us here. I have two children, and we have 3 grandkids.
Oh, nice, nice. Nice. Well, congratulations on that.
Well, thank you.
Yes, yes, it's a beautiful thing because it's become quite an issue right now where people are so afraid and there's so much conflict and they don't know how to deal with it. So the easiest thing, I mean, it's not easy. It's just like hiding behind drugs, alcohol, and whatever it is. So I commend you on that as well. That you've got such a beautiful family.
Well, thank you. I'm proud of that too. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so tell me a bit. Tell me, George, have you found freedom?
I have. I feel I'm free. I can do anything I want to do at this level of my life. I belong to a few clubs. I belong to a Greek organization called AHAPA, which I was able to go to the convention in Vegas, and I sold my book.
Nice.
I'm a member of the American Legion. We have meetings. Matter of fact, I had a meeting the other day, and I had a book presentation at the meeting.
Wow.
They love my book because veterans understand my life, understand wars and pain and all that stuff. So they all wanted to read the book. So I did very well there. So I keep busy.
That's good. That's good. So now you found like the ultimate freedom because now you can just live the life that you want, right, on your terms.
Correct. Now, the fact I can write books is a big freedom. That's something I never thought I could do, by the way. And that's why I'm going to write another book, perhaps 2 more books. My wife says, "Give it up." I says, "Honey, I can't. Once you're in, you can't get out."
Right. That mind just carries on working, right?
As long my cells in my brain are still alive, I'm going to write. So that also keeps the cells alive too.
Yes. Yes.
Working.
Yes, it keeps you active. It keeps you young.
Yes.
So tell us a bit about your 3rd book. What's that going to be about?
The third book is going to be related a little bit of my first and second book. It's about looking at the invaders and the conquerors that invaded Greece over the years. After I lived under one occupation, under one invader, I
Yes.
wanted to know who are all these other barbarians. Matter of fact, I asked my mother one time, who are these barbarians that come to our country and kill our people and burn our homes? My mother told me I was too young to know. So now that I'm old enough, I decided to go and find out who are these barbarians. And I started with the Persians, the first invaders of Greece.
Wow.
I'm sure you've heard of the 300 Spartans,
Yes, yes.
right? Well, that's the Spartans, the city I was born near Sparta anyway. The king of Sparta actually fought the Persians. 300 of them were killed because they were fighting like supposedly 100,000 Persians.
Wow.
And they all got killed. The outcome, however, the Persians, they never occupied Greece. They invaded, but the Greeks actually kicked them out. And the king of Persia in those days, Xerxes, went back to Persia, and he was building big palaces. And the Persians were very upset about him, and they actually killed him. One of his guards got his hair off. So what I found out by studying these invaders, they all died at the end. They all were killed by the people they ruled, all the way up to the Führer. The Führer actually killed himself, but he didn't want to go the same way as Mussolini did.
Yes, yes.
They hung it upside down.
Yeah, that was.
So did the Romans, and on and on. So that's what I'm getting out of this book is that those who invaded, they actually died by the people they invade, and they all died at the end. So no invader lasted more than 1,500. The Romans, I think, lasted 1,500 years. They all came close, but they all died. So that's what I'm trying to bring out of the book, that invading other countries is not good. It's not what we should be doing.
Yes, yes.
And it happened again in Ukraine. So that's going to be in my book too, on that book.
Ah, nice. I love that. So tell us a bit, because we find that, I mean, history, we're supposed to be learning from history, but it doesn't look like we as human beings really learn from history, right? Because those patterns keep repeating themselves.
Yes, yes.
Tell me, what should people be learning from your experience in Greece when you were so small?
Yeah, it's hard to tell people how to read history and how to learn from history. But we all have to learn from history because history repeats itself. Although we as Americans never learn of our mistakes. We keep making the same mistakes every year or every period.
Yes, yes.
So human beings, I think by default, we cannot learn from our experience. Unfortunately, that's what I learned from my writing and reading. Unfortunately, we repeat history, and I don't know what the end will be, but it's not going to be a very good end, I'm afraid. I do not want to speculate, but the human race is in a fast road to destruction. The ancient warriors were fighting with spears and knives and hammers, and then we invaded the bullets and the cannons, and then we invaded the atom bomb.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the end of humanity if that's the weapon ever been used. You never know who might want to use it.
Yes, but okay. So to change this really somber, the somber mood now.
Yes.
What besides writing your next book? What else is there in George's future?
Well, basically, I want to make sure I can hit the ball when I golf straight and not into the woods. Stay alive, stay healthy, and stay in love with my wife until the end.
Wow, that sounds like a beautiful place to end. Like, you see, what I have to say is that everyone out there, true love does exist.
Yes, it does.
This is a perfect example. Look, we've got the beautiful example here.
It does.
True love
that
does
depends
exist.
on two things, again, respect and love. There has to be a respect for each other.
Yes.
If that is missing, marriage is not going to last. That's my opinion anyway. That's how my marriage has lasted this long, because we respect each other and we love each other.
Yes, I love it. And well, that's someone you've really got the experience, you've lived the experience, 57 years. Wow. I can't wait for 60 years. I hope that we keep in touch and I can come and dance at your anniversary party.
You will be invited.
Awesome.
You will
Thank
be
you,
invited.
George. Thank you, George.
Be there. And maybe we'll invite all the your audience.
Wow, that would be pretty cool, right?
Hopefully, some of them will read my story.
I'm sure a lot of them will read your story. Thank you so much, George. Just remember that all the details for George's books will be in the description box. So go check them out and read the books and see what you get out of it, and see how those experiences, I have to say, were traumatic, but you've just grown and you're just bright and sparkly. It's obviously you're doing well. So thank you, George.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.